All right, we're here with the great Chael Sonnen. Chael, thank you so much for your time today. You
Pleasure,
just
man.
hosted the news conference here in LA for Jake Paul and Anderson Spider Silva, your old
Yeah,
buddy.
I filled in for the great Errol Hawani. Couldn't be here, and I offer that because I think my participation is going to be pretty limited. But I'm a fan, and it's hard to participate. It's hard to do something within the sport if you're not in that ring. I thought they looked great. You know, picture's worth 1,000 words. There's a reason we face them off, but it's also so the audience can get a good look at them. I've seen betting lines change after face-offs before. Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic, quite literally, Daniel went from underdog to favorite after they faced him off because Stipe weighed in so light. I just bring that as an example. These guys look great. I've been studying Anderson Silva's body for 20 years. He was a 170 pounder. They did a catch weight at 175. He moved up to middleweight. Took on Forrest Griffin at 205. It's one of these things. He looks the same. He probably is 203 pounds right now. But I saw Jake Paul for the first time.
Yeah.
I've never seen him in
Really?
person, and everybody talks about how big he is. He is. He is. I mean, these guys are in shape, and they weigh the same.
Look, you fought Anderson Silva. We know this, some epic fights, especially that first one. You know, you had him. You had him nailed. What was your concern about his stand-up game in that fight?
Oh, I would put it as far as frightening. I mean, right? You respect something, but then you're frightened of something. That's a very positive word. A lot of people think it's a negative. It creates an urgency. I had a plan to get Anderson down.
Yeah.
I had that plan, and I think every fight that I've had to get the guy down, but there wasn't an urgency. I can deal with it. I can get to it. It'll come. I had an urgency to get him down. You know, you're sitting there watching a guy's highlights, and every time he touched somebody, the fight is over. So yeah, his stand up is nasty. My coach had broke him down. I had some good moments in the stand up with him. For one reason is I was willing to engage. Everybody else would stay a little too far out, and I would get right in there and engage. But it's because my coach gave me a confidence when we break down his film that Anderson's strikes weren't the problem. It was his setups. He would do so, and he made guys freeze. Clayton Hires would call that the Medusa. He turns you to stone. Even if it's for a second, he'd come in
By doing what?
and attack you. Well, he had a number of movements, and some people thought Anderson was cocky. They did the same thing to Roy Jones. They thought that he was out there showing off or being arrogant. He's not. He's trying to get you to freeze. He's trying to get you to watch him. He's putting his hands down. Anderson was real big on this one with the shoulder shake,
right.
just by example. But he would lean forward. He would come back. He would just get you to watch him. If you could just watch him for a second. Everybody else in fight, they throw a flinch. That's it. They throw a flinch, and then they come with their attacks. Anderson had different ways of doing the same thing that a flinch achieved. And if you were prepared for his setups, that was the fear, because that was the stuff you'd never seen before.
Yeah, I mean, look, so Jake Paul steps into the ring against this guy and has to deal with it. Well, what's your expectations about what's going to happen in this fight? And I kind of hitched that question to this. A lot of people are saying that this is another non-boxer, non-pro boxer that Jake Paul's fighting. Is this a pro boxer by your standards?
You have communities that are coming together. Yes, he's a pro boxer, but I understand what people are saying. I know what I like in a pro boxer too. I like a guy that came up through the amateurs. I like a second generation guy. I like a guy that started at 9 years old. I like a guy that had Olympic aspirations, that can tie himself to the Golden Gloves. I like those things. I do understand it, but I'll share with you. The narrative that you just spoke of, which is very real, is coming purely from the boxing community. There's another side to it. There's a side that I represent, which is the fight community. These guys have a conflict. They're going to have conflict resolution. And we've agreed to do that under the Queensberry rules. I really didn't care if we do those under EBI rules or we do those under the unified rules. For me, we've agreed on it. We know when it's coming. We prepare. We weigh them in, and off we go. That's a fight to me. And is Anderson a pro boxer? Is Jake a pro boxer? I mean, what do you want to do? I don't fully understand where the question comes from. There's not a whole lot of men, in all fairness, Lance, there's not a lot of men who have ever stepped in a ring on Saturday night. There's just not. I was a professional fighter at 22 years old, but I'd been fighting since I was 19. Turned professional at 20. I was 28 years old when I met my first boxer. I lived at the Olympic Training Center that had a boxing program, and I never met a single one of them. The first time I met a man who on a Saturday night had been in there with the gloves on, it is extremely rare. So you can tell me about what a pro boxer is. What's the difference? If they're going to go out and they're going to fight under any rule set, we're going to live with the result.
Absolutely, and that leads me to another question about really the ultimate fighter. We just saw him fight Saturday, Nate Diaz, with an incredible performance. I thought.
I agree.
And I thought it was great that the fans were able to give him that tribute that he really deserved on his way out of the UFC octagon. But he appears headed to fight the winner of this fight. What do you think of that? I mean, are we headed down a road that is going to continue to be combat sports and entertainment, this mesh is going to be something that really is going to take a foothold into, this wing of sports.
Sure, and I think there's a misconception whether the matchmakers are going to tell the audience what to like. No, the audience is going to tell the matchmaker. So the audience can decide if they don't like it, if they don't want to see these matchups. No, they're not going to get them. And I think that Nate becoming available. I mean, you talked about maybe he's going to be fighting with Jake Paul. There's another rumor that his brother Nick's going to be on the card taking on Logan Paul. I mean, that's fun. You want to talk about some fun? We don't get to have fun a whole lot. If you can have some fun, you can have those special nights. I think that we can all agree. It doesn't necessarily matter the rules. If we're going to see some resolution one-on-one, there's another community out there that's the fight community, and we like it.
I love it, Chael. You've given a voice to it, and it's so important to hear. And you're absolutely spot on, because look at the results that we've seen. Whether it's a pay-per-view or regular fights, these people are watching, and there's interest in it. I mean, it has a lifespan to it.
Yeah. Hey, they have mine. I haven't tuned into boxing, and I think of myself as a boxing guy, but I just watch the big ones. I watch the Tyson Fury fights, and I come out for the Canelos. But I think a lot of people can relate with me. So if this is the rules they're going to contest in the squared circle, man, it's good for me.
Really appreciate you, Chael. Thank you
Appreciate it,
so
man.
much. Appreciate it.